Ready?
I'm all set.
Yep.
Good evening and welcome to the August 29th, 2016 Board of Selectmen meeting. First item on the agenda is the signing of the warrant.
I'll move.
Seconded?
That's unanimous. Next is approval of the August 15th meeting minutes.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I
Brian
should
was-
probably abstain.
Okay,
I wasn't
Brian was
there.
absent. Okay. Next item on the agenda is invitation to speak. Does anybody wish to speak to the board who doesn't have anything on the agenda? Mr. Wheelock?
Hi there,
Good
Jamie
evening.
Wheelock, and I just rolled into town about 2.5 hours ago. So
Welcome
I'm,
back.
Woefully unprepared. I want to clarify something that I spoke about a month or so ago which I felt I was pretty clear about, and was portrayed in the town crier as something to do with swim at your own risk, when I was in fact trying to emphasize changing the signage at the quarries from no trespassing to no swimming. Because I'm pretty sure I was clear about that, and that is my primary objective, is to ultimately allow all of Milford's people and people from surrounding towns the ability to walk on conservation land that is the town of Milford's land. Swimming season is coming to an end relatively soon, but as social media will show you, all last year, numerous people were on that land, which you people believe is posted with no trespassing signs. In fact, if they were ever posted, the signs came down quite quickly, and I don't know if they've been reposted, but they're not currently posted, no trespassing. And if they get posted again, it would be great to post no swimming signs instead of no trespassing signs. I'm surprised the Conservation Commission is in agreement that that land is off limits to all people who want to enjoy Milford's conservation land. I'm surprised my aspiring state rep is in agreement with keeping people off that land when they can travel on that land perfectly safely, as they do at Halibut Point State Park, as they do at Purgatory Chasm, although there have been some deaths there. So, one day it would be great to see no swimming signs rather than no trespassing signs. One of the issues is the property is not actually properly posted, which leaves it to the discretion of the police officers to enforce it. And then the issue isn't so much that you're trespassing, it's that you are not complying with the police officer's instructions to leave, even though the property is not posted sufficiently to actually be called no trespassing. I'm very uncomfortable with the selective enforcement issue that is able to happen on that land right now. That's a problem. The other reason I'm really interested to be here tonight is because of Citizens for Milford has started up their town meeting working group reform committee. And while I am kind of interested in the idea of a town meeting working group, I am horrified at the idea of Citizens for Milford running that group. The anti-bus packet that they sent out to all town meeting members was so amateurish and hackneyed that it should persuade most people that CFM is not a credible organization when important town-wide issues are at stake. The fact that they have any sway with town hall terrifies me. That's an exaggeration. Disturbs me that they have the ear of town hall to do important work. Some issues about what CFM is doing with their reforms working group is the June 27th meeting, which was held here at room 14, was not well publicized by Citizens for Milford, and it also did not make it onto the town hall's calendar of events. That's a big problem. These meetings, which address very important issues for the entire town, need to be thoroughly publicized very, very well in advance. And if town hall is working with CFM, it needs to be on the calendar. I believe CFM is having their town meeting, working group meeting tonight in room 14. That's also not on the town calendar. A big problem. CFM is not adequately publicizing their meetings on their own page. And you guys are also not adequately publicizing it. This is a big problem. A big issue for town meeting and town committees is better transparency. Having meetings that are called public, but then not publicized or poorly attended is a problem to transparent democracy, an important issue that needs addressing. The minutes from the meeting were kind of weird from the June 27th one. Calling town meetings the most efficient form of government just seemed to be just a softball. And saying that Mike is doing very nicely as the moderator makes you wonder why we even need the thing. We actually do need some reforms. So that's enough for Citizens for Milford and the Reform Committee, other than the fact that I hope that you, Town Hall specifically, will work very hard to keep those meetings very public. I'm also troubled by why they even have 3 CFM members on the whole thing. But that's another issue. And another thing which I've addressed you people in the past over and over again is agendas and minutes being posted online. Conservation Commission agendas were last posted online in March 19th of 2015. Before that, it was February of 2011. The minutes are a slightly better story, last posted as recently as October 15th, 2015, and then sequentially back. So those are sort of just 1 year out of date. This is not a good example of open and transparent government in the digital age. I've talked to you people about it before, and not a thing has been done. I picked Conservation Commission at random, and I didn't bother going through all the other committees. Okay, so that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I want to address a few things, and I want to begin with, I'll start backwards, forwards, working with your last one. So if anybody needs and wants agendas, meeting minutes, we post those publicly within Town Hall. But what I'm not saying is, I'm not saying that what we post online shouldn't be accurate and up to date. But the fail-safe is, everything is available at Town Hall. It is transparent in that all meetings are posted. So I just want to make sure we make a distinction between the difference between the accuracy of the website versus how transparent we are in meeting the state requirements for posting meetings and meeting notice.
I hope the town aspires to be more than meet the minimum letter of the law in the digital age.
I'm not going to go back and forth. I'm responding to your thing. I'm not going to go back and forth with you.
Oh,
I
okay.
appreciate your comments. With that said, though, we ought to look at our website, and we ought to make sure that either those sections are removed or kept up to date. And Rick, I'll look to you to either delete the sections as it relates to meeting minutes and agendas and post in one place, or through the process, I want to, I know, Rick, you're looking at the website and how to keep it updated, and that's part of an ongoing process. That's part of our next year's efforts for improvement. So your point's well taken. We have to remember that the CFM group is made up of town meeting members and elected officials, and that it's also a working group. So it's nothing more than a working group. What we sanctioned here is, and it's my understanding, and I'll let the members correct me, is that if they had recommendations that they thought would make town meeting more efficient, this board would like to hear them. And like with the Boy Scouts, if the Boy Scouts want to meet upstairs, we make that space available. We make that available to Citizens for Milford group and a committee and a group they started. But it's a working group. It's not a sanctioned, appointed or elected function. Last, I think your point's well taken with regard to conservation land versus no swimming. I think the challenge is my discussions with the chief, that every time we post no trespassing signs, they're either vandalized or completely stolen, removed. So we can talk with the chief about how to make trails available. And I think we ought to talk about it as well, because I think it's much bigger than you think. The point really is, if we're going to make land available, as we make trails available, it's important for this board, this community, to make sufficient safe parking for them, so that people can enjoy a particular space. There are multiple parking spaces available to the trail people. I don't know where they'd park, or, you know. So what I'd like to, because I think your point is well taken, the no swimming versus no trespassing. I think it may have to have a combination of both. There are areas where we don't want trespassing in and around the ledges, because even if somebody doesn't intend to swim, the idea that they're climbing up on the ledges creates a certain liability, whether they're just there exploring on the ledges. So we can work with town council. I think there's a way to try to provide balance to allow people to walk trails and to to view nature, and to also express this board's belief that people shouldn't be swimming there, and that people shouldn't be up on those ledges, because again, this isn't about swimming. So if your point is folks need to take, folks would like to have access to great nature walks and conservation land, your point's well taken. And so we can run that by town council and figure out how to do that along with the chief and others. I don't know if any other member has anything they'd like to say. That's the way I'd like to proceed. Any thoughts?
I mean, in terms of the ledge holes, the idea was to keep people out of the water, period. Now, I know you don't necessarily agree with that. You think it's a good opportunity for people to swim, and I understand your perspective, and I respect it, but, sitting here, the police chief has indicated to us what he needs in terms of tools to try to enforce keeping people out of the water. And unfortunately, we've had some serious tragedies over the years. To me, that outweighs any possible use for recreational purposes. Now, is it being done most effectively? Is it being monitored the way it's supposed to? I don't know that. That's the police department's responsibility. I assume the department is patrolling it, and the department feels comfortable with the tools they have in terms of enforcing it, because we haven't heard otherwise. The Citizens for Milford, it's not a public body. It's not an organization of the town of Milford. It's a private entity. They don't necessarily need to comply with the open meeting law. Should they? I think absolutely. I think the meetings should be posted if they're not. The minutes should be available in whatever form is accessible. The bottom line is they are working on, I guess, draft recommendations about town meetings. So even though they're not technically, part of the town, I think they ought to operate under the public meeting law. And my understanding is the Selectmen's office, when that calendar of events comes out, it only lists town bodies and committees.
Yeah, not all the Boy Scouts,
It
Girl
doesn't
Scouts.
list all of the groups that might be here. It only focuses on town bodies. So I think that might be the confusion
Yeah.
on that particular area. But I agree, it should be open, it should encourage participation, but don't confuse it as appointed in any manner by this board or any other board.
They brag quite happily about their strong endorsement from the selectmen, and I believe Bill is their liaison.
Yeah, I do participate for sure.
Makes me very uncomfortable.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right.
Jamie?
Thank you, Jamie. Well, it's going to go to you, Will, but,
Both, you and Brian both made great points.
all right. Public hearings and scheduled appointments. Next, we have Finance Director and IT Manager with an IT plan.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. So comprehensive document, can absolutely tell it took a lot of time,
Did.
and that it was thoughtful. But with that, I'll let you discuss how it came about.
All right, yeah, I read my mind, that's what I'd like to do. So Andy, Rick, and I have spent a tremendous amount of time evaluating our current situation, researching, and we spent a lot of time interviewing different departments to see what challenges they've had, what desires they might want, and just trying to get their perspective on it too. There's been a lot of really good resources between the FinCom subcommittees, this board providing the necessary resources to us. Worldban, our consultant, has been very valuable to us. Also, I wanted to mention the IT search committee that we've kept in contact with. It's Dennis Carroll, Bill Sanborn, Mark LeBlanc, and Justin Redden. They've reviewed this plan, they've commented on it, we've taken their comments and rolled with them. They've also offered to meet with us, which we absolutely plan on doing. Very bright individuals, and they've given us a really good perspective on what we should be looking at and where we should be going. This plan, our primary focus was security, both internal and external. We addressed hardware such as sonic walls for the internet, software, uniform antiviruses, conceptual security such as backups, off-site, on-site, and you're going to see towards the end of this plan, we will hopefully make the jump to cloud solutions, and you'll obviously get into more depth with some of that. We've talked about a security breach protocol, which is very important. You're seeing these financial institutions now making it mandatory that you have them. And we actually have a meeting on Thursday that's going to be led by the treasurer, Chris Pilla, who has deeper relationships with our banking institutions. And we have Unibank coming out, and their, their chief technology? Officer will be coming out and helping us there, which is pretty comprehensive as well. We also have a plan to do a full-blown out third-party security audit, which will, we've taken it as far as we believe we had, and this will actually test what we have put in place, and it'll identify our strengths and weaknesses. Again, Andy will talk about that. And then another facet of security is, again, the cloud solutions, making sure that our data, which is probably our most valuable asset here, intangible asset, is always protected. We also branched off into applications. This is my 7th year here, and when I came on board, it was right after a system conversion from a DOS-based system that I don't think I had used since kindergarten, if maybe first grade, you know. So it was.
Aren't they cute at that age?
So it was pretty wild that that's where we were, and again, it had already happened when I came in, and it's a program called Budget Sense, which is really geared towards school districts, and it presents a number of challenges I won't bore you with, but Munis is really where we should be going. But I took that amount of time to make sure to assess that this is obviously the direction we should be going in, and also to encompass some other departments. Right now we have 3 different contracts for our major financial software packages. Munis can bring all of them under one umbrella, and it's our hope that it will be a little more cost-effective once we actually have it assessed and go through the quotes and all in that process. Another application, Municity, that's kind of our test pilot. I'm going to allow Andy to speak about that a little bit. And kind of good leeway into this with the previous speaker talking about the website. Obviously, we have a lot of complaints on that. You just heard one right there, but Rick gets a lot of complaints on our website as well. And looking at it for over the years, didn't really notice it, but when you're kind of checking out other places, it really can be improved upon. And what we were trying to portray in this report was trying to circle all these other events that I was talking about, all filtering back into a website that's interactive for departments as well as the public and employees. So With that said, how would you like to proceed, Mr. Chairman?
Well, why don't you just go through, at a very high level, each of the sections contained within the table of contents? Because, and I'm going to tell you why I asked you to do that, just simply because I actually appreciate the way it was laid out, because it talks about our current infrastructure, our existing inventory, what our status is today. It talks about what it is for Milford Technology mission statement, that, don't read the mission statement, but the idea behind it is, you know, the layout makes sense. And then it says, then what you're gonna do in each subsequent year. So, I don't know, as much as you wanna talk about, because I think for starters, this board has had an opportunity to review this. It hasn't gone outside of this department other than our folks that are helping us.
Correct.
And I think if it's your plan, it would be my plan to share with the finance department, the FinCom.
Yes, absolutely.
absolutely.
Yep.
So I think there's opportunity for each of the members either here tonight or at a later date, give you a call, ask for clarification or brush up. But what I'd like to do is probably go, well, I'll let you take it where you want to, but I want to focus on the first year. I want to spend more time there.
Sure. I mean, just to give you an overview, is obviously security is the big topic, and we're constantly reviewing what we do here for practices. Right now, we have check sheets for our terminated employees. So someone gets terminated, or department head will alert the benefits coordinator, and they will in turn alert me, who I will shut off access to whatever they have access to. We're constantly reviewing locking our data center, which we do all the time if no one's there, and we're in the process of doing the outlying network equipment that we have, such as the switch in the Selectmen's office, and looking into opportunities to lock that up into a cabinet.
Good
With-
idea.
Yep, question?
No, good idea.
Yes, absolutely. 'Cause, you know, when I was before I got here, you know, obviously everything was unlocked. People had access to everything, and we're trying to, you know, close up all the gaps and make sure security is a big big issue.
Big priority.
Yeah, big priority, absolutely. And with that, that security audit will come into play. Right now, we just have a 30-day trial with the Verona software, which will dig deep into our data to find out where our weaknesses is, who has access to what, and not just access to what, but what is out there. There could be a lot of social security numbers, credit card numbers, banking numbers out there, and it will go down and we'll actually see the files that may have these, and then we can go in there and see what is actually there, and do the people actually need that data and everything.
When we did, about 2 weeks ago, we had the initial demonstration of the Verona software package. And in doing so, the guy that gave the presentation, it was a really cool story of how it was developed. So they worked on the IT on an offshore oil rig and out in the ocean, and all of a sudden one day, just all their data completely vanished, and they couldn't retrieve it, gone. Whole company failed, went under, can't reconstruct something like that. So they didn't know who, what, when, where, why, or how. So this product right here, it was meant to try to conceptualize who has access to what. Like, clearly someone went in and was able to destroy that.
Sure.
And with this would map out who can potentially do that, both internally and externally. And like, if you look at our files, there's thousands of files. It's so much information that you need a sophisticated software application that can look at all that at a high level and then break it down for you to make it useful. So we expect that certainly is going to have a list of to-do items for us, for sure.
Absolutely, and not only that, it could alert us if ransomware had came
Yeah.
in and tell us where it's coming in, so we can shut that off. The person who might have brought it in, disable their access, and
So ransomware, for the benefit of those listening at home, those people who might be familiar with it, where different communities have been attacked with ransomware. Would you like to describe it, just real brief at all?
It's stuff where they hijack your data, encrypt it, and they ask you, here, pay us X amount of dollars, and then we'll send you instructions on how to decrypt your data.
Like
It's already
cyber
happened.
pirates,
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
it's already
you know.
happened to municipalities.
Yes, it has. You read about it all the time, and
Okay.
certainly scares me.
Happened to some police departments.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
they
in
do.
medical field and hospitals.
I mean, people are just so sophisticated now, it's crazy. So you have to lean on these companies that are coming out that have the latest and greatest technology that are gonna defend it, and like, that's, you're always gonna have to be looking to these avenues. There's always someone trying to screw someone, you know?
Yeah.
That's where having your backup current is, you gotta have that, and we do a good job here. We actually have a copy on-site, and then the town hall's off-site is at the library vice versa with us and everything.
And now also, this plan is geared, and actually over the past few years, we've been taking steps to get us to the cloud solutions. It's kind of funny, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, Joe Cootie comes in and he tells me, you know, our data is our most important asset that we have. And I'm like, yeah, I know that, Joe. But it shows you that it just clearly that needs to be the most secure thing that we possibly have. So when you go to the cloud solution, it's one of those innovative issues that it'll take our data and store it live anywhere from the planet. It will always be there. You could have this building completely flooded and say somehow the library did too. Well, those are our two backups. Now, we could be sitting in Japan and call up every bit of our data, bam, right there, ready to continue. We're just so dependent on technology now. The assessors aren't in there with pen and paper anymore. It's all plotted, it's all laid out, it's all digitized. And same with all of my information. The collector, you know, it's just,
Yeah, the whole cloud-based solutions is taking your footprint here and just moving it to a service provider somewhere else. So you now don't have to worry about the hardware, your energy consumption will go down, the overhead taking care of all your hardware would be eliminated, and your main focus is on making sure you have a reliable internet connection, making sure that the data's safe and available for not just employees, but for the residents of the town of Milford.
which we have upgraded our service, so the speeds here, I think, are
Yes.
pretty good. And they're gonna increase once we do the redundancy.
Yes, once
firewall.
we're going to replace our firewall here, which will open up the speed, so we can actually take on more of the speed that we get here already. So anyone
Okay.
who has problems with internet speed, hopefully that will go away.
The security makes sense, the software makes sense, the audit makes sense, we've talked about that. We think a different set of eyes are helpful. Yeah, you talked about.
Chairman, just with the security audit, Andy, in here, and I'm just seeing it now, it just says about the security audit every few years. Is there a way that we could get to like a calendar, something a little bit more? Where,
Absolutely.
I mean, do you know what the industry standard is? Is that something you only do
Absolutely.
once every 5 or 10 years?
A lot of
or is
places do it every year.
Okay.
But it will just come down to cost, how much it will, how much it will cost us, and obviously, we'll go over that, whoever our chosen vendor would be, what their recommendations for a town our size would be. I'm saying maybe about every other year we would do it.
But it's
I
weird.
just think it makes sense to see something, more specific,
concrete,
but
yeah.
apparently you're gonna
Absolutely.
get there, so,
Yes,
okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we absolutely plan on taking this once approved and going a lot deeper. And, I mean, it's already 30 pages, I apologize for that, but there's just so much information, and we really are trying to do our research.
And this is still high level, Zach. I mean,
is,
the fact of the
yeah.
matter is you did an inventory of existing systems. That could have been 30 pages in itself.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think we'll go to the different members in a minute, but what I want to do is, I just want to reaffirm an understanding that everybody has. Security begins where?
The end user. It's
Right.
always going to have to begin with everyone. Everyone has to be on watch, vigilant, and they have to be up to date and know what's going on. And a lot of it's going to be on the IT department to get that information out. If they know something is in the works or is out there, get it out. And we've actually had an incident before in which town engineering got an email from someone, but that email person's was hacked. And a lot of the town departments does business with this person, so I sent out an email, if you get this, make sure you call this person to verify that he sent an email to you.
Okay. And to that end, there's some education that's going to go on. We can talk about threats, how to deter those threats. That's a good idea. We should have,
Absolutely.
something going out periodically. You mentioned in this plan, password changes.
Yes.
When does that begin?
We're going to implement that next month, September. We'll start that.
And that's where they're
That's where
forced
they're
and
forced to
mandatory?
change it. Yeah, absolutely. My recommendations, at least 8 characters. Use a combination of like the 4 upper, lower symbols, numbers, and change it about 120 days.
Okay. And then why don't we go into this year? I'll let the board members, but I just want to let you, you talked about the staff, the organization, the town website, which we know is part of our plan to update. Talked about some of the software budget sense. I just want to go through this. Why don't we go to page 16
Sure.
and go to the bottom of that?
Okay. Right now, we do have budget to get a second server in, so we have some sort of redundancy in case the one we have now fails, that's it.
Which stuff like that does
And
happen.
it does happen. I mean, hardware is hardware, just anything mechanical, electrical, at some point could, break.
Okay?
So we never had that, so we're now getting that in, and hopefully we'll have that completed by the end of this year as well.
End of this month, actually.
End of this month.
Yes.
And would that redundancy be a manual switchover, or would it be a failover between?
It'll be a
the-
failover, so
Terrific.
the end
Okay.
user will probably see matter of moments.
Terrific. Great.
Along with that, we're going to add more memory to our main server here. We're actually running low on that, so hopefully adding some more will alleviate some
And
slowness.
this may go hand in hand with the Verona software, which will also identify stale data that we may make a decision to move it to another section and free up space again.
Get rid of some stuff, right?
Get
Exactly.
rid of stuff that we don't
So-
See
need.
if it's redundant.
I probably have 70 different folders and countless documents in those, and some of which I haven't looked at since I've been here, so even myself, I could absolutely benefit from that analysis.
So that town hall server memory upgrade is, when are you planning it?
We're going to plan to do that same time with the server redundancy as well, so hopefully by the end of this month, we'll have that done.
That's end of September.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We're also planning on adding another remote desktop server, which is where we house our programs, where people would access Patriot, Budget Sense, and
Data National?
Data National. That's the next thing that we'll be doing, but we're missing one other one? We have 3, don't we? Patriot.
City.
Oh, Ministry's on its own. But that's, we're adding, sorry about that. We're adding an extra server too, because the amount of users that are using it, it's being taxed and overloaded, so hopefully a load balance
Okay.
will alleviate some slowness as well. Adding additional licensing to our server due to the increase of extra users, particularly when the school moved to their email, and we had to move all the town employees that had school emails over to our town server, so we're just being in compliance
I'm
with
not
that.
sure at why, but at some point we had the Milford MA, and there was a lot of employee, that's the school.
School side.
Yeah, and we had a number of employees that had, I'm not really sure why, but when they went through changing their, what do you even call it?
Google?
The domain.
The domain, yeah.
When they changed their domain, it kind of forced us into having to convert our people as well, and we had to put forwarders on everyone, specifically the fire department.
Sure.
And there was a number of employees. Yeah.
So we're doing that, and hopefully that will be done by the end of this year, just to be in more compliance with that. Security audit, once we do complete that Verona's trial and we get the comprehensive report, we'll be in a better position to see where we are and start to go out and contact security firms that can do an audit for us. We do have our Data National migration. It's the last piece of our enterprise resource program, which the tax collector uses. We're still waiting for them to verify that their program will work with our new servers.
Now, this kind of goes hand in hand with combining into Munis. It's just 2012, and they're still not ready for us to convert into a program that's managed by Microsoft. So it tells us that they are probably going to be outdated. They already are outdated, but they're going to continue to be, to the point where we will be forced into a change, which is why I think it makes perfect sense for us to look into combining with the other financial software packages.
Absolutely. The other thing, as I mentioned before, we're going to upgrade our firewalls here to add, more, and we'll add a second one there. Right now, we only have one. Again, more redundancy. If one fails, the other one will be there and help us protect. Hopefully, that will be completed by the end of this year as well. We also have computers running around town that seem to be below specs, adding a little bit more memory. Some have 2 gigs of RAM and 4. Maybe increasing to 8 will alleviate some of the complaints of being slowness. And that'll be an ongoing process, and hopefully we'll wrap that up by the end of this fiscal year.
And that should go hand in hand with the next, which would be the inventory and replacement cycles.
Yes.
So we now have Dan on board, and that's one of the projects that hopefully he will be leading or certainly participating in. And that's, you hear a lot about the asset tagging, so that's, we plan on implementing that before the close of the calendar year as well, or at least starting it, and that'll be one of those ongoing projects.
The next thing is to look into a printer consolidation or maintenance plan. This is sort of like, this year would just be looking into that to see if it's feasible for the town here. Right now, all the departments have their own printers, and there's multiple printers in each department, some out.
And we do have 2 leased as well
Yes.
that departments can access. So, I mean, we are doing it to a degree. I just think it needs to be looked at closer. And when we'll come forward with a proposal on that too, if it makes sense.
Yeah, you hit a point that I had a question on when you looked at existing inventory. We talked about 50 printers of various makes and models.
Yes.
So, very high cost associated with toner and everything else. There's
Especially when
no-
it comes to different models out there, you have to see, which ones here and there. And
It's amazing to me that, we're talking about in this building? Or
not
is
in
it-
just this building, most of them are in this building, but also the highway department, senior center,
Okay.
and,
And buying all
I
that
mean, think
different
about
ink,
it for,
and all of us go to one
if you
printer.
think about it, for years, we've always, 155 budget was just developed 2 years ago.
Right.
Will, you were in the FinCom when we did that, I believe. And so all these very minor office supplies, more or less, or computer replacement budgets or in individual budgets, and even then, very minor. So you really needed to plan diligently in order to upgrade your printer, and for the most part, departments would go for the best deal. There was no one there to guide for uniformity.
Right,
It was
right.
just the deal of the month, they got it, and then you just hope that your toner lasts, because that next purchase depletes your whole budget, you know?
Right, right.
So,
Okay.
And then the last thing we're doing at the town hall, which is an important one, is our website. We're going to go out and
gonna
look,
start.
the
Yeah.
process of looking to redesign and update and modernize our website. And if we do get a system in like Munis, it could, we can use some of the functionality that's in there to better serve our citizens and even our employees, such as an employee portal, which they can go and view and change personal information, contact information, look at their vacation, sick time, and personal time, which I know a lot of employees would love to.
That's something that Kelly,
Yes.
benefits coordinator, has been on me for a while, so.
We have to do it.
Yeah, it definitely.
Agreed.
Yep.
Then on to the senior center, we're trying to, for this year, we got on the budget to convert them over to our 4-digit phone system. There'll be the last piece, the highway, what was already done from last year, and the youth center during the remodel has also converted over. Hopefully, we'll have that completed by early 2017. We do have replace an aging Windows XP machine over at the senior center, and hopefully we'll have that done probably by October instead of November. Then there's also some network hardware that's aging that will replace there. Hopefully by the end of this calendar year, we'll get that done. And wireless, which is like one of their biggest issues down there. There is no reliable, and we're going to get that done for them. It's
And I
budgeted.
think we actually have the products purchased already, because we were gonna go with 8 units here, and we didn't.
Yes, we do have
need
some
of them.
capacity,
We do have
yeah.
some
So
purchased
this is just a
already.
matter of organizing with our consultants in order to schedule it.
Great.
And then the highway department for this year is just replacing 2 aging desktops there, one in the foreman's office and one in the garage.
Youth Center has some big plans, though, and that's already kicked off and starting.
Yes. The youth center, which obviously has been renovated, they wanted all new computers. Those have been purchased, and they are already at the youth center right now, and we're just awaiting when they would like us to set them up. And I can have Dan go over there and myself, and we'll get
Get 'em
that out.
going, yep.
Yeah, yes.
Also going with the wireless, the whole building will have wireless access, the same as here, the guest network and
The admin network
Yep.
as well.
Where's that funding?
We did it in 155 in the operational
All right.
budget, yeah.
Along with the wireless, we're gonna get their network equipment all installed. That has been, I contacted our consultants with that, and to get that ordered. Have their firewall, and, which will include McAfee AV, and it'll be enforced on their desktop, so no one will be on the network without having that on there, just like here at the town hall.
So when it's done, the youth center should have a really solid computer station there. It'll be really
Yes.
good stuff, yeah.
And they're also getting a backup system, just like we use here, and just service and licensing to access.
Sure.
All the back end
Yeah,
stuff.
the
yeah.
back end stuff.
All right, I'm going to cut you off.
Sure.
And only because we've spent some time here, and I want to give the board members an opportunity to ask questions, get clarification. And before we get into year 2 and 3, Brian, I'll go to you first.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, let me just commend you on a very comprehensive, well-thought-out, and well-written report. You know, when I think back to where we were technology-wise 3-4 years ago, you know, it's like from, you know, the Stone Age into, you know, the 21st century. So I think you've made some tremendous progress. In terms of some of the things that you've itemized, and I want to go to the budgetary portion that you had here, because you had this outlined,
Yes,
looks like on page 20 or so.
yes.
So it looks as though most of these costs are itemized for FY '17. Some, I guess, they're pretty much all for this year's budget. And I take it that all of these expenditures have been
Approved.
into the budget?
Into the
and they're
budget
there.
right now.
Correct,
Correct.
yeah.
And what's the total on this number?
For FY '17?
Yeah, because I thought I'd see something on the bottom.
I don't have the exact number on there.
Yeah, we should have I see what you're saying.
Yes, I do apologize for that, for not having that number there.
The-
for you.
The,
Okay, but this is all projected to occur in this fiscal year.
Yes,
Yep. The general expenses of 155 for the town side is 110,000.
Okay. I don't have any specific questions. It's very clear how you've outlined things. I like the way you've got the yearly goals established, and as you just went through year 1. I guess the only thing that might get brought to mind, and you have talked about eventually segueing into the cloud service, are any of the improvements or investments that you're looking to do in year 1 or year 2 before you get into the cloud?
Become obsolete.
Yeah, is it, do you know what I mean? Is it?
Yeah,
short-term?
I had the exact same questions when I was involved in it and researching it as well. And you should look at it more as in addition to, rather than replacement, because we will still have our local backups, we'll still have a lot of this, most all of it will still be
Yeah,
implemented.
still be here.
Yeah. It's just,
until it goes end of life.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not as though the things that you're targeting in FY '17, you know, you get to the third year and you've indicated that cloud solutions is the next way completed by FY '19. It's not as though whatever we're investing in 17, 18 is going to be a waste.
No, no, absolutely not.
More of a supplement.
Good
Yes.
question.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
But no, you know, I think that the department, the administration has done a great job in really taking, you know, a system that a good 4 years ago was extremely archaic and really giving it focus, clear design, and an intention to move forward. So I was very impressed when I read this plan.
Thank you, Brian. Will?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, gentlemen, no, I'm very pleased as well. I think this has been a long time coming, and looks like a lot of progress has been made, and a lot of progress is going to be made. One last question, because actually most everything that I had also got addressed. When you're switching or transitioning, I guess, to the Data National, is that it?
Yes.
Now, that's on a SQL server, an SQL?
Yes, it
Now-
does run on SQL.
Now, are we going to have to depend on some other folks for that? Or, I know you have a lot of these accreditations, Andy. I
No,
don't remember
no, no.
all of them. I apologize.
Definitely
but
not a SQL person, but
Okay.
yes, we would work with our vendor who would
Okay.
do all the database conversions.
That's what we're waiting on.
Because I have a database that runs on SQL, and I go to one class out of BU every year to take a kid from. That's how, it's it's like a foreign language. One I'll never learn.
All our systems run on SQL.
Okay. And
So
we're-
we rely strictly on the vendor to do any sort of conversions or work on the actual database.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's the only thing that made me nervous, because
Yeah.
that's a foreign
That's
language.
that's out of my scope.
No, that's fair. All right, I appreciate the honesty.
We know we're gonna go with, get
I
that
can make a
higher
backup
level.
of the database, but as far as going in there and doing all the programming, it's
No, it's a whole
what I
different
do.
thing. No, I appreciate that. No, thank you, guys.
Yeah, actually, Brian hit a topic that I wanted to hit, and I just wanted to probe a little further. There's a lot of physical servers, and you've talked about cloud-based. And so we're still making an investment in local physical servers here versus cloud-based. And I know it's going to take a while. And so the question that was asked about whether, you know, when we go to cloud, to what extent are we still going to need the physical servers here? That's a great question. But I don't expect us to be anywhere close to fully implemented on our cloud-based initiatives for the first 3 years, and in which case we're looking at, you know, having gotten a good portion of the useful life. But it's going to be a question you got to prepare for, because
Yeah.
absolutely.
it's going to come up at the FinCom, it's going to come up everywhere. Anybody who looks at the plan, they're going to say, why are you making so much of an investment in local physical service versus going cloud-based, and we're just not ready.
Yeah, I had the same question.
Yeah,
too, you know.
so,
We would start off more or less with all our data, putting it up there and our backups, and then eventually getting everything up.
well, I guess, you know, my sense in listening to you is we have to survive till then as well. So if our systems are running slow, we're losing productivity, people are becoming frustrated. That's why people duplicate data and put local data and tables into their own systems. That's why sometimes it isn't the right data that should be, you know, taken off of the server and put on somebody's local system, especially when it involves social security numbers or transaction numbers or any of those things. You're going to look at that. So I'm good, and look, this is what I want to see. My personal view is I'd like to see the first year implemented. I appreciate the fact and agree with years 2 and 3, but I know that they're more fluid,
Yeah,
and our confidence in those and executing those is pretty good right now, and maybe at a 70% level, but we're probably going to be modifying those. So we still have to put a stake in the ground. We have to make budgetary decisions. We have to put long-range plans out there. What I'd like to see in the table is now go from the FY17 project plan and put specific months. So if it's FY17, you're planning end of September, right, end of September. And I'm not talking about the date. What I'm thinking about is beginning, middle, or end of a given month. Then what I'd like to see, I'd like to stay on top of it and see you guys quarterly. And Andy, specifically, you to talk about where we were in the last plan, how we've executed to that plan, and how does it look going forward to the next quarter? Because I think we have to maintain an understanding of it. We also, as we talk about audits, we talk about software migration, there are gonna be times where things break, you're gonna have to go backwards, there are gonna be times where we should get an update because the audit gap has identified something significant that we've gotta close.
Absolutely.
May not be planned for, so we've gotta figure out how to work through that. But yeah, if you could just take that column, I think it's really taking the table that you've got, and rather than just putting FY17, what I'd like to see is
Just put like a
maybe
month.
another column to the right that just says at what beginning, end, or middle of a month you're planning on executing those. Are we good there?
Yes.
All right.
We can certainly do that.
It sounds like you've got a lot of dates now, but I'd just like to stay on top of monitoring and tracking that to see where it goes.
Yeah, we'd like to set milestones and make sure we're coming in and giving progress reports. And actually, we're tying it perfectly into Rick's goal-setting process and evaluations.
Perfect.
So just trying to bring it all together.
That'll all
And
link.
you kind of touched on it, especially with technology, this could be a fluid 3-year plan that could change. As soon as we have a security audit, it may reprioritize our chain of events and point us in a different direction. So we certainly want to keep you guys aware and updated on what we're doing.
Okay. Do the members have any other questions for the
I'm
following
all set,
years?
thank you.
Okay.
Almost.
We'll look at it, see it in a quarter?
Yes.
Yes,
All right. Outstanding.
thank you.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
And
Have a
you're
good
not
night,
going- And Zach, you're not going anywhere,
Nope.
right? Capital plan. Why don't we pull that out? And what state of completion do you think this capital plan is right now?
50%,
Okay, so you think we're at the 50% level? Okay.
maybe 60. Yeah.
All right, all right. All right, but
All
we
right.
know what we need next year, and it's prioritized. Why don't we do this? I don't want to take you off track, but and I don't want to necessarily, we would be here until Tuesday,
Yeah.
next Tuesday, if we went through every page. So let me suggest something. Why don't we go through what we're planning in 17 for starters?
Okay. One thing real quick, just to clarify, we put in also, which I think was a bad idea, without clarification, we put in the FinCom's version as well. And I did that purposely to demonstrate some of the challenges we're having. But it didn't come off very clear. We didn't even have the title on there, so I apologize for that. So if you turn to the following pages, you actually see Selectmen 5-year plan. And that's the work that Rick and I have been doing on this with all the department heads. So some of the challenges, why we put that there, one was to kind of get an all-inclusive, show they're doing work as well. We all realized that the CIC was just disbanded, so we're trying to fill that gap as well without putting any additional burden on department heads, as that was kind of one of the selling points in doing so. So the challenge we're having is duplication of effort still, with FinCom capital subcommittees meeting regularly, as well as Rick and I doing our own internal review that we've been developing over the past year and a half. Again, I believe we've come a very long way in our capital planning. When I first came on, there wasn't one, and now we are meeting frequently. We have people participating. We've had department head meetings. They understand why we're doing this. And now we're trying to take it to the next level and make it meaningful, where it'll actually help us in the budget process to determine what a accurate figure should be for an upcoming year, instead of an arbitrary number of, say, the million we've been accustomed to. So since we've been involved, we had bumped up our earmarked to 1.5 million due to the amount of capital coming up. But that's still just kind of a number that was thrown out too. So I believe in the future, when this is really solid and we have a perpetual plan that's reviewed consistently, it should help aid us in determining what our goals should be that still meets our overall financial goals for the year. So that's kind of my hope to where I would like to see this go. I also think that this should be viewed by department heads as something that should help them. It should be something that we, as in the finance director and town administrator, could challenge departments to maybe look into a different direction or help point them in a proper direction, maybe, for example, the state bid list. Or possibly looking at consulting versus in-house employees. So really, this is meant to improve communication across the board, and that's why I had included the finance committees there, just to show, if you had looked at it, again, I know I didn't clearly label it, so I probably confused you guys more than anything, but there obviously needs to be a reconciliation, because there's items on here that we now have changed, that for multiple reasons figures have either gone up or down or moved forward. So I'm actually working with the chairman of the FinCom, Chris Moran, to see if we can research some avenues that may eliminate that communication breach. And what comes to mind is using the Google Drive that we recently put together with the tablets. So I actually have access to that, and I have my own folder, so I could be supplying the data that Rick and I obtain and review, and they could, all of them could directly go in and look at it as well, and to help make sure that we're both on the same page. As right off the bat, you can see that there's a number of items that just do not align. So we will be going to their next meeting to make sure that we clarify those issues. But the bigger picture is trying to prevent those from happening moving forward. And that's what we're working on now. So when I said 50%, I think a lot of our data is here. There's certainly some items that need to be investigated further. But again, I want to make sure that this is a meaningful process that's going to help all parties involved. So I think the higher level is where we need to improve as well.
Okay, why don't we go over first year?
Sure, sorry, I got off track there.
That's all right, that's all right.
All right, so if we're all looking at the Selectmen plan, the first item, number 4, is the building inspector software. We just went through that in the IT plan. So that's called Municity, and that's going to be kind of reviewing that from IT as our test pilot for going to a cloud-based solution. And I sat through a memo with a demonstration, with John, and it was very, very impressive. And
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear.
yeah, and if you looked at our ticketing system, not even joking, at least half of them are from the current in-house program, so that's another one that's becoming obsolete. And even in the demo, they point blank told us all our research and development is now in the cloud-based solution. So they're pushing you in that direction, and I think it creates a unique opportunity for us to view it firsthand before we make a jump with everything else. So I think that one's very clear that we need to do that. Now, that had moved up from 2018.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yes.
I don't have a was-is, and I'm not flipping back and forth, but we moved it up a year, okay. Now, the next one is replacing the ground floor Whalen units, the
Yep.
heaters.
Rick, you may want to talk a little more
Just,
about that. He's been
very
more
simply
involved.
put, I think I had that for this year originally, a couple of years ago, pushed it back, thinking that hopefully we could, as the units were functioning. Unfortunately, since that time, we have lost a couple of the units. For example, the one in the facilities director's office is not functioning. Obviously, we had to, if you remember correctly, we replaced the one in the IT room. Obviously, we had to do that one for obvious reasons. It just made sense, I think, at this time to push that project forward. And therefore, we updated our quote, and we would be looking to replace those units in the floor that we're in now, right now, this ground floor.
Yeah, Rick, the way I look at that is, there are a couple of ways to do that. You plan with your best I don't know, lawn dart, the useful life, and there's ways in which you can do it somewhat scientifically, but the fact of the matter is you can't predict when systems are going to begin to fail. And if you have it in a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan and have it out 8 years, if it lasts 7 or 6, it's still there, and we're just advancing it forward because, as you said, things begin to fail earlier than their anticipated life. So, I appreciate the fact that this was in the budget and it's just moved forward. I think that's the same thing with the sprinkler pipes. You wanna
Yeah,
do that
I
as
have
well?
done, over the past 2 years, we've done a couple of sections. However, now, if you remember, we had a power surge or a power failure actually a couple of weeks ago, and I think that magnified the issue there because once that happened, we ended up going up there, we had to shut everything down, and then there was another leak that basically was there that we did not see. So I think it just makes tremendous sense now. To me, this one is quite clear that this should be done now, and we shouldn't wait. This one was back a year also, but it makes no sense, given
Too much risk, yeah.
that the risk is just too much.
If you actually look at the detail of item number 9 that we provided in our analysis, the cost actually reduced. So even though we're moving it forward, we went and had it re-quoted, re-looked at.
I've gotten 2 quotes, I intend to get a third, so
Yeah.
to me,
And Rick?
that one should be done.
I'll give the other board members their opportunity to take a swing at the first year for selectmen items. I'm good with all of these, and, these are all budgeted. Granted, we're jockeying between years as we start to see failure, then we've got to advance it, we have no choice. The only question I had is, we've got sprinkler pipes in 17, and we've got sprinkler heads in 18.
Yep.
And the only question I have is, when you start draining down systems and pressurizing systems, does it make sense those both come up to 17?
We asked the same question.
Again, I had the same question, why not do it all now?
Draining those things
Yeah.
Makes
is
more
not a fun
sense.
process.
No, I can't imagine it is.
I'm
It's
told
very
that,
foul odor, too.
At this point, we don't have to do that. We
Okay.
could do it, but
You've
again,
talked
that
to
was a
professionals.
very logical question.
Okay.
We talked to the one who maintains ours, as well as, again, I'm getting 3 quotes on this.
And we
Just wanna
legit
start
asked
getting
the
more
same
quotes.
thing, does it make sense to do it at the same time? And they said it won't be.
Doesn't matter.
It won't be.
Should not be an issue.
Okay, that was a layman's question that I wanted to throw
Same
out there.
question we had, yeah.
All right, I'll go to the members of the board. Will, I'll go to you first, just change things up.
No, that's going to be short because I don't have any problem with anything. I think everything makes sense.
All right, so we're specifically talking about what we're advancing this year for the benefit of this
Now,
discussion.
that, if I may, is what would come out of Rick's office. So obviously, there's other selectmen departments, such
Yeah.
as police.
Yeah, let's go
Fire.
through those,
Okay,
just this year.
yeah, sure. So we have nothing for engineer, that's the following page, which, by the way, we have Mike Dean, who's on board now, and there's 2 items that we have here, and he's going to participate with us in review to make sure that they're still appropriate, and we'll make the necessary changes.
Okay, and you
We have
also,
a meeting tomorrow with them, actually.
so you show the grant article this year and the pond maintenance.
On maintenance, I think, aren't we budgeting that now, Zach?
Yeah.
I
That's
believe.
what-
So
those
that will
were-
come off the plan. That will
Yeah.
be-
Good,
That's gonna be
because
in
Those are
budget.
both pulled. I think you have, we were showing the
Older
old one
version.
and the new one.
Yeah.
Maybe the new one wasn't put in there, but those 2 were.
In fact, the grant article too, I believe, if we don't.
Yeah,
use
that's
it,
all I've got,
Those are
That will be
both
the same
pulled,
thing.
yeah.
so I don't have the new
Those two
one.
should be removed.
And neither does
These are
Will.
some of the little challenges too. We want to make clear how, as we go through, we want to make the changes visible and not just nonstop replacement.
Yeah, no, I appreciate a was-is document that shows,
Yeah.
okay, this is our plan last year, this is what we've modified it to. It shows both maybe on the same sheet, so you
Yeah.
can just bounce on the same sheet.
Good, yeah.
But I don't have the current document that you're referring to.
Okay.
That shows some of these removed, because the obvious question is, and I thought we budgeted it.
We did.
So why isn't it in budget?
we
If we're
did.
gonna do it every year?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did, yeah.
So, I'm sorry, so the engineer is looking for what this year?
Nothing.
Nothing, okay. We're gonna go to
We
the,
have a discussion about a plotter, but we don't feel it's appropriate to move forward at this time.
all right, and the chief is on his last year of the $25,000
Correct.
capital plan for computers.
Computers, yep.
And we have fire with nothing this year.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm on the
Nope.
same one.
They were looking at the ladder truck, but he
Yeah.
decided to move it back a year, so,
Well, that's a separate capital budget anyway, right?
Correct.
Fund, okay.
correct, yeah.
Next one, we have senior center. And I'm still showing bathroom at 8150, so this looks to be an
That
old
comes
revision.
out, yeah.
That comes out,
That
yep.
comes out. There should
All
be
right.
a page, I hope it got in there, but
No, I don't have anything else.
we had mentioned pavers at the front entrance. I think we've had some discussion on this. I've had
Oh, the
some-
pavers are in.
Yeah, okay. It should be there, yeah.
Not one of those sheets, yeah.
We found that they've been lifting up, so therefore we've looked at it. There's an area that we've had to segregate a little bit, so we're looking to doing those. I've had some discussion with the FinCom Subcommittee Chairperson, who seems to be in agreement. We also will look to, as we always do, can it be something that can be done within budget? If so, then we would do it that way, with the understanding, obviously, that is a pretty good chunk of that budget, 192, building and maintenance.
Yeah, to play off that, if I may?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the 192 budget, we do have a significant repair and maintenance earmark. However, the majority of it is service maintenance plans that are required and encumbered more or less.
10,000, per month,
Per month,
when you
yeah,
think about it.
correct. So it,
right off the top.
on first glance, it seems, oh, why can't you do all these items? But it's more or less spoken for. And the freed up uncommitted amount is probably, let me say, like 30,000 for the entire year for all
Might have
public
to be looked
buildings.
at.
Yeah,
We did
So-
adjust it this past year as part of the budget, but
We
that,
did, yeah.
and just was shuffling from other accounts that we didn't seem to use, or other line items, I should say.
So what's the plan, capital or budget?
we're gonna look to the budget,
Okay. And just for the benefit.
yes. Yep.
And just for the benefit of everybody here, so we're talking about a safety issue. So I also want to talk about something else. So when a safety issue exists, it's our highest priority. We understand that. I know I'm not preaching something new to you. It should be part of our culture. And the first thing we do when we have a safety issue is mitigate the safety issue, either barricade, same way you'd put a plate, metal plate over a sinkhole on a road. So right now, the folks at the senior center are safe in that it's coned off, but we need to do something very, very quick.
Yes.
Because we're talking about our most vulnerable population here, and people who, where we all might be, hopefully, is a little less steady on our feet, but still going strong to bingo night and taking advantage of the various services, bingo day, rather. So, it's mitigated, it's safe right now, but we've got to do something, and you're looking
Yeah.
to use the
Which
budget.
is why I think the budget's a
do.
better response as well, too, so we can get going now and take care of it, because I know,
Before winter
I know
comes
Sue
along.
has been discussing it, and she really wants to see that taken care of.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything we see safety?
So what is, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, so what is the timeline on that? Like, we're gonna start the process anyway of? I mean,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we-
I have a quote that we're very comfortable with,
Great.
a plan that we're
it's a
comfortable with.
matter of the vendor's availability at this
So,
point.
That's all we'd be looking to now, is the particular vendor's availability, correct?
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
yeah.
I'd imagine we'd have to come up with some kind of plan, because that's the main entrance of what we're
We're
gonna
gonna
do
have to
in
have
the
a plan,
meantime,
yeah.
too.
Although I think where it's located right now, we could probably work that area, but yes, we're gonna have some plan, kind
Yeah.
of plan for access and egress, and if we need to be, check with the fire chief too, to make sure we comply.
Hey, we've had a tremendous safety record in doing things up at Woodland School as an example, where it has its own unique challenges with young people and the attractive nuisance it creates with kids wanting to, get on a tractor, right? So you have unique challenges at the senior center in that, they're less steady, and we've got to be careful, and appreciate you guys being on top of this. Okay, what's next?
I think that's all we have for you.
Good. So, You're at 100% plan. I just want to make sure I have this right. You're at 100% confidence in your first year, 2017.
For the items we went through, yeah.
Yeah, you
Yes.
know what you want to go for capital, what you're going to take out of the budget, and what we're going to march forward with. And now I'm going to go back to the board members to see if they have any questions, any comments with what we've just talked about for the rest of this year. Any thoughts?
No, I see what you have mapped out here. It's pretty much what's indicated. I've got to throw you a couple of curveballs, which we talked about a little bit. You know, there's the possibility that the corrective work that was done on the heating system at the youth center might not work. The engineers believe it will, but there's a possibility that it won't, and we're not going to know that until the heating system starts around the middle or end of October. So, you know, I'd be looking to put a placeholder article on the town meeting, depending upon the contingency funds that we have, which is dependent upon the recent testing that was done in terms of the water penetration. So I've got to have a working meeting with you to try to go over these things, and just have that in place. And the other thing that I know that they want to do, the youth center director after this summer, the first one in there, is pleading for air conditioning. So we're going to have to get that on the list. Now, we put the infrastructure there to support the system, but, you know, the system was not part of it. So I need to have a meeting with you during the day to tie up these two little items. Hopefully, one we won't need, and the second one, you know, let's get it in the pipeline and see what we
Sure.
can do with it.
Absolutely. That's the point of this whole thing. Want to make sure we got people coming forward. So perfect. Thank you.
Will? No, I think I'm all set. I'm obviously on board with everything you've presented, and good to go.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
So
please.
like EIT and wanting to meet quarterly, Rick and I envision having quarterly meetings as well with both the FinCom and this board to keep progress going and keep everybody informed, and just to show how it's working and how it's going to incorporate into some of those other facets I discussed with helping project our goals for the future as well.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, I'm not in favor of the 5-year plan. I think to your point, when you started out, you talked about it being at a 50% level. I would be in agreement. I think there's some polishing that needs to go on. But that said, I think we've got a plan for this year, and the only other thing I wanted to bring up is something we talked with Representative Fernandez and Amy Leone about in terms of grant matching. We said that, you know, or at least I had talked about, and I wanted to check with members of the board, grant matching. We're talking about a regional effort for opioid addiction and treatment. So what I'm hoping to do is grant match that program, because we're going to burn through $84,000 from the state pretty quick. And it's clear to me that not only could we use state and local funding, we could use some federal funding in the whole region to help us with this problem. And so I've talked with the chief a little bit. We talked about the challenge of getting other communities in. The way we're able to determine whether they're committed or not is to look for some type of per capita index, and for lack of a better number, Chief and I talked about $28,000 from this community based on per capita. And if the board wants to go forward with that, we're meeting coming up in a week. I'm going to be meeting with the chief, Frank Saba, from Riverside now, in case you didn't know. Amy Leone and myself and talk about how we get this kicked off. This is ahead of the release of those funds. We anticipate those funds to be released. We're going to plan on success, but wanted to see what the favor of the board was in terms of going forward to make sure this isn't a capital item.
No, I wouldn't.
The challenge is, how do we present it within town meeting? See if the town meeting is interested in a regional grant matching program where other communities come on board, take advantage of the same services, that Milford is doing, which is, I think, is what the state intended. And I don't see any other way but to start getting the services going by looking at the October town meeting.
Mr. Chairman? if I may?
Yes.
So-
I mean, I'm, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, so, all right, so you're not, that's not a capital item?
It is not.
Okay, so that's not gonna make it to our black book?
It's not.
Okay, it's, you know, possibly or probably a town meeting article.
Right.
Based on a plan and a program and a budget.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's fine.
And looking to have that sponsored and supported by the board for October. And I think I can come back in a couple of weeks and with a little more definition. By the way, Amy defined exactly what she wants to do. The chief defined exactly what he wanted to do. And I think what the challenge is exactly what the chief said. There are a lot of people that want to participate in the dinner, but don't necessarily want to help make the dinner. And the way you do that and supplement these funds, and we talked about grant matching that night, is you have communities kick in. And so that maybe these funds can last a couple of years, and maybe we can make a dent in this effort. But I don't know.
It's obviously an epidemic and it's
Right.
crazy out there, but
Yeah, when you have the president talking about something, when you have the governor talking about something, you have the legislators committing funds to it, and I think it's appropriate that local funds are contributing as well.
And Rick and I have met with Amy
Okay.
6-8 months
That's right.
ago. And maybe this is more of a Rick question later, but just curious how other communities are going to come on board. I don't know if you know any information, but I mean, I could talk with Rick more about it later, but that's just kind of the one, we've talked about it for a little while now, and that's the one kind of item I'm struggling with, I suppose.
Fair enough. Fair enough from a finance and how to, yeah, gotcha.
Correct.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look to, we're even gonna have to look to
Yeah.
others to help us from either DOR or the state to help us administer this
Yeah,
program.
I didn't know if there was
This
a
is some nuance
contact
to
you
it.
had, or if anyone does, maybe a meeting with the chief and Amy's in order again, so.
Any thoughts?
But yeah,
to that?
no, I think I think we spoke about that, well, quite a few meetings ago now, and now the funds are gonna hopefully be released soon. But I think it's something we have to keep talking about, and sometimes you just have to simply put money where your mouth is and show some support. And again, if there's a way logistically that we can figure out a way for towns to get involved.
We'll
Because
find it.
unfortunately, you know, to participate, they need to come on board as well. So hopefully you folks can figure out how exactly that can get done. I'm sure you will. So
Around.
And
I'm in full support.
Yeah, what people need to be clear about is this is not enforcement dollars and enforcement efforts. It's treatment for individuals, and it's treatment for families and counseling for families. In addition, I think there are components, talked to Amy about it, but where we could have an effect with local dentists and doctors who are prescribing the opioids. We could have an effect at the school system where a component of it has some education for our high school, our young adults. Have point people who are either trainers or, uniquely looking for situations that may exist. So that's some of the outline.
I think one of the things we could do, Mr. Chairman, I don't know how effective it might be. I know the police chief had written to the governor's office requesting release of the funds. I mean, we might want to do our own correspondence from this Board of Selectmen to the governor himself, requesting release of those funds.
Yeah, I'd like to do that, and it's a great idea. Yeah, I'm also trying to set up a meeting just to give you an idea, because this, along with other dollars that the state is holding, is important to the community. So we'll see what we can get done, but that's a great suggestion, Brian. So why don't we shoot that letter out?
Yes, I kind of have sent somewhat of a letter already, but we can get a more definitive one,
Okay.
yes.
All right, outstanding. So good plan. You're going to polish up
Yeah,
the 4 years.
we have work to do.
Pushing forward.
Yeah,
Yeah, I want to begin to see, town engineers' fingerprint on things. I know
yeah.
we had the former town engineer develop a 5-year plan, which wasn't able to execute, having left. And I want to make sure that, that 5-year plan.
We have a meeting tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we've had
Yeah.
discussions with him and
Yeah.
trying to ease him into this.
This will be number 3, I believe, so meetings, and we just want to keep people involved.
All right,
and-
now he's in
yeah.
with both feet, so.
Yep, exactly.
All right, you're going to reconcile, the last thing is you're going to reconcile the gap that we have with our 5-year plan and the FinCom's 5-year plan?
Correct, and also try to develop a mechanism to prevent that from moving forward.
Yeah, and in fairness to them, they only wrote what we gave them, so they were only listening to the words that we
Yeah,
said.
no,
so-
they do awesome work.
Well, we've got some cleaning up to do, and you're gonna,
Yes.
yeah, because when I look at this, okay, it was a starting point.
Yes.
And, you're in good shape for this year and this October. Let me know what other information you need. I would follow up with the chief on that per capita multi-town.
I will.
And see what his thoughts are, and I will as well, and we're gonna meet. Okay, thank you, Zach.
You're welcome.
And auditor. Yeah, we had talked about, this isn't time sensitive, there's nothing that requires action tonight. We just received our audit report, and I had asked Zach to bring something forward. He has a recommendation, but I'm gonna ask the board for a little bit of flexibility on this and let Zach go, because what I'd like to see, I appreciate his recommendation, but what I'd like to do is go over a little more in-depth rationale for when towns change auditors, what are some of the driving factors for when they change them, besides whether they're happy with the service or not. Sometimes there are reasons why philosophically we make changes, and whether this is the year or next year or some other year down the road. I'm perfectly happy with the services that Scanlon Associates are providing, but I still want to have a little bit deeper discussion about it. So if we could go next meeting.
I could
that's
pull
all right.
that information.
How long have they been our auditors now?
Approximately 20 years.
Okay. I don't want it to be the easy decision. And the easy decision is you always stay and do what you did, do what we always do. They're providing excellent service. But I look at my role as a little different, and it's understanding the pros and cons and then making a decision.
Sure.
So I appreciate your recommendation. If the board's okay, we'll take that up at the next meeting. Do you see any issue with holding this off? If there's anything I'm missing in terms of, is it time
No.
sensitive?
No, unless we switch, then probably, but,
There's nothing that's
I
gonna
could
drive me there, but I wanna go over the
I
discussion.
could provide that information, certainly,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you, Zach.
You're welcome.
That's it.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna catch up.
Sorry.
Which I don't even think is possible. Next, we have Town Administrator's Report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just 3 items tonight. One, I just want to alert everyone, as you know, the new sign bylaw, the Attorney General's office has approved our new sign bylaw, which was passed at the May 23rd, 2016 annual town meeting. The bylaw's effective date, according to the Attorney General's office, is May 23rd as when it was passed. We're having the building commissioner now work on a chart to assist individuals in understanding the new bylaw, most specifically the temporary sign sections. He will also prepare a list of frequently asked questions. This is going to be part of his goal implementation under the evaluation process. I'm also asking him to review and report on the enforcement of the new bylaw. I would like employees in my office, myself included, to have these charts and these frequently asked questions available. Obviously, his office needs this because that's where the questions are going to come from. And I think it would be just very beneficial to both the public and to the people working at Town Hall. So he'll be working on that. We should have something in the next several weeks, if not sooner. Report on the stormwater MS4 permit. The Massachusetts Coalition for Water Resources Stewardship has now jointly filed a petition for review of the final Massachusetts Small Municipal Separate Stormwater General Permit, the MS4 permit, in the First Circuit of the U.S. Court of Appeals in Boston with the town of Franklin. The issue on appeal is the standard the EPA seeks to apply to discharges from municipal storm sewers, which collect rainfall from streets, buildings, and developed areas. The appeal alleges that certain permit conditions exceed the EPA's authority under the Clean Water Act. The use of the courts is a common way to challenge EPA actions, and it's frequently employed by environmental groups in Massachusetts and across the country. I will keep the board updated as the appeal progresses. And then finally, as all of you know, the fixed bus route began running this morning. We will be monitoring ridership as well as looking to increase public awareness of the availability of the bus. The Transportation Advisory Committee will be meeting regularly to work on improving the bus route for the benefit of its riders. As an aside, I did speak with Carl about a couple of hours ago, Carl Damagello, I should say, of the MWRTA, and he said for a first-day implementation, it went very well. He did see ridership. Number of people, he said, picked it up at the high school, for example, to get to their jobs at Target. So examples like that he did see. And as he said, you need to build it one rider at a time, but for a first day, he thought it went very, very well. So we will obviously be updating the board continuously. We expect to have statistics by the end of September, the first batch of statistics for both the Transportation Advisory Committee and this board and other boards to review and possibly comment on.
Yeah, and just for the benefit of the board, I'm sorry, Rick, are you
No,
done?
I'm done, thank
Okay.
you, yep.
Just for the benefit of the board, we're already looking at doing a slight modification.
Yes.
And we're in day one. We said it would be a revolving or evolving process. We're talking about Memorial Hall Library as being part of that.
Yeah, the Edward Memorial Kennedy Center, we had the MK Center, we got
Yep.
feedback on that, and that will no longer be a flag down stop, but a regular stop. In
stop.
fact, the young lady that got on the bus today was very happy with that.
Yeah.
A woman who got on today, so.
Yeah, we had, when we kicked off the event, and thank you for organizing that.
Thank you.
With the MWRTA, kicked off the event today, had a few people on the bus and one person at Town Hall getting on the bus, so I'd be interested to see the articles that come out to where the riders were going and what the benefits were and what particular challenges they have, because there may be things that we're not thinking of where our riders are taking advantage of it. We didn't even think about the option. I don't have any questions on the MS4 permit, signed by law. Thank you for sharing that. Brian, any questions or comments related to the report?
Just a couple on the MS4, is that the legal action that was filed by Bowditch and Dewey?
Yes.
Okay, do you know how many communities actually joined in on
There were numerous
that
ones, I
group?
want to say 30-plus, so that the cost per
Okay.
community, depending on population, was very reasonable.
that? Okay, but I
Our
mean,
cost was
that's the initiative that we.
That's it, yeah.
voted
The
to
town of
support.
Franklin that was joined only just for, as you know, a standing issue, just to make sure that no one challenged at what standing the Water Resources Commission had. So
Right.
Franklin was willing to be the town to join in as a
Okay,
plaintiff.
all right.
And the town of Milford is involved and has standing in that, and we've committed some resources to the.
We have committed,
2,500.
yes, we have. Yes.
Okay, well, hey, so let's see where that goes.
Yes.
You know, it's certainly worthwhile. The one thing I did want to comment on today, I was driving up, I think it was Orchard Street, and right at the end of the street, I got hit with the new veteran signs that are out there. It looks beautiful.
It does.
We've gotten a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah, so, it's, right at the top of the hill there. It's so much more visible and vibrant than the older signs. So, commendations to John Pilla, Janet, and also the Highway Department for getting those out there.
Yeah, look
They're-
good.
They're a huge improvement and a nice tribute to the veterans.
They've also done a nice job, if you've been up to the courthouse or the Korean Veterans Memorial there, which I never really noticed all the years I was going there.
Yeah, until you
Also-
sent that letter, I had
There's a
no
letter
idea.
there, and I gotta be honest with you, I knew it was there, but I really didn't know to the extent, so they're doing a nice job there. Also, they'd like to maybe have a little ceremony to
Sure.
kind of kick that off. I think that was in
I saw
correspondence.
that, yeah.
I might be jumping ahead, but
No, no.
just,
That correspondence is in there, yeah.
And Will, thanks for keeping us on track for those signs that Brian brought up. I know that it had been a long time since we had approved them, and it's good to see them up, and I appreciate you reminding us on that.
Thank you. I did have one question for Rick.
Go ahead.
Rick, are there Charlie cards here at Town Hall or wherever, so people can get them?
we
if they
don't
need
have them
to?
here at Town Hall, but you actually get them on the bus.
Oh, the
So you can
driver
get
has them?
right on the bus,
Okay.
and they will take care of you.
Okay.
Because that's a common question we've been getting.
Yeah,
I had a
that's
couple
what I
people
got,
call me
and I was
today. Gentleman called me today and said, how do I get that? I
Yeah,
can't
issue
get
right
to
right
the
there.
senior center.
Yep.
He could get it right there, yeah.
And I know a lot of
We are
seniors
gonna-
already have their senior Charlie cards.
They do.
I saw those.
We
Yep.
are gonna have probably at least one, maybe two more functions, though, at the senior center,
Good.
where they will be made available at some of the functions, maybe a bingo day or something
Great.
like that.
Yeah, can you refresh what their if there's any more forms or anything they're planning on doing, or how much we want to now transition to the
I can get
ad
that,
hoc
sure.
committee?
Yeah.
Because if the ad hoc committee would like to begin to do things, and
Yeah, I think the next step is Carl's gonna come in and actually sit with them and then hopefully guide them on what the MWRTA is gonna be doing and what
Okay.
they can do in conjunction with the MWRTA. A big focus, I hope, will be public awareness.
yeah,
That's gotta be the big one, I think.
Educating.
Yes.
It's amazing to me how uneventful this bus launching went off when I think back to a year when, you know, Harold and I at this board were talking about it. So many people were alarmed and it was going to cause this and it was gonna create confusion and havoc, and the first bus launched and guess what?
yeah, we went
It was-
13 rounds today.
It was uneventful, it was exactly what it was supposed to be, and it's gonna grow and provide a great service to the community.
And I think an awful lot of credit for that goes to Scott and the chief and Rick, specifically for finding out where the best locations were so that we didn't bog down traffic. Because I can promise one thing, if we stopped and bogged down traffic, we'd have heard about it, right? So.
Could have, sure,
You
yeah.
guys did the right
Yeah,
pre-planning.
yeah.
Let's see how it goes. Day one, I'm not ready to spike the ball yet.
No, long way to go.
Yeah.
Long way to go.
A good start.
Yes.
Okay. Nothing else for the town administrator?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I'm all set.
Old business? Members have old business they'd like to bring up?
I don't.
I don't either.
Okay. New business. I'll ask for your input at the end of this. Town administrator has provided a precinct notice for the tax bill. We had asked for this. This came out of Amy's office. I think it's the right messaging, the dates, locations. And then there's the obvious website location, where do I vote, ma.com, which is it's an interesting site, really helps fine tune.
Thank you. No problem. Yep. That just requires a vote, gentlemen, under the statute. Yeah.
okay.
Sorry.
So what's the favor of the board?
I'll make a motion to
Approve the
approve the messaging on the tax bill.
Well, let me just ask for a second. So is this for the tax bills that are coming out second quarter? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's gonna hit,
They usually come out, what, October 1st,
yeah.
payable November 1st.
Yeah, we're
Right, so
missing,
that'll come out in October.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I gotta miss that.
It's November 8th is the only one that's,
The only one
That's what I was concerned about, the presidential.
Well, I was gonna say that there's no election March 1st.
No, those were the old dates that were
Yeah.
on the
So-
last
So, I
time,
mean, if
so
this tax bill is coming out in October of
Scratch those.
2016.
that'll be tweaked, yeah.
I think we should be targeting what the election dates are.
Yeah.
So
what's the November date, Brian?
it's November 8th.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure exactly what the town election is next year, but I would think
I
that
think
you
we
might.
have time, too.
Yeah, I would think you'd just want to put the elections coming up in
Yep.
this particular fiscal year.
Yeah, so why don't,
So you'd have the November 8th one, if the bill's gonna come out October 1st, and then whatever the town election is, and I think that's pretty much it.
That's it, that's upcoming, I believe.
okay, so why don't we modify this, striking any references to the previous dates and have, because, good catch, the November 8th and then the April town election date put in there.
I'll have to check with her, there might have already gone out, I'll have to be honest with you, only because there was a time frame here, so.
So why are we talking about this?
As always, our vote was so meaningful.
No, not gone out, but I mean, no, not gone out, but the dates may be there, I'll have to double check, that's all.
One would hope it doesn't, it isn't, because it,
Yeah.
okay, so
Okay.
let's
I'm in
modify
support
it.
of
Yep.
We've got a modified motion. We want a notice to go out for November 8th and April town election.
Whatever April is.
There we met our statutory requirement. That's unanimous.
After the fact.
I'm just hoping that nothing's printed.
That's it.
Okay, next we have traffic supervisor appointments and reappointments. We have, telephone numbers. So it doesn't say for what years, Rick.
It's the upcoming 2016.
So it's 1 year.
Yes, yes,
So it's just 2016, 2017. Mary Jo Bentley,
correct.
Loris Conley, Peggy Farrell, Manny Fonseca, Donald Acavelli, Toussaint Jackson, Sue Kowalski, Nadine Ledoux, Gloria Linnell, Larry Lothar, Sharon McLean, Donna Mason, Francis O'Neill, John Chiarello.
I'll move.
Seconded.
That's unanimous. And then for the subs, Brian Bergoli and Christine Wispiansky, along with Sherry Reeves.
Richard Rigoli.
I'm sorry, Richard Bergoli.
Yeah. I'll move.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Next, we have traffic aid requests for the police chief. What's the favor of the board?
I'll move.
Seconded.
All right, and these traffic requests are for Sumner Street for safety purposes. Thank you. That's unanimous. Next, we have zoning amendments. No, I'm sorry, Italian Vet one-day license, thank you. Italian Vet's one-day license for Haywood Field, the contact person is Tim McDonough, and it's the Mickey Ward fundraiser, a great event, helping local charity. And it is for September 10th of this year, and it's 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
I'll move.
Seconded.
Okay, it's all in favor of one-day alcohol license. It's unanimous.
It's a lot of fun.
Next, we have proposing zoning bylaw amendments. Memo presented by Larry Duncan, talking about zoning bylaw for the height of fences, changing for employee parking, required yards, another amendment to the zoning bylaw related to site plan review for change of use, and then rezoning of 18 parcels located between Exchange and Fayette Streets from central commercial to office residential. And it's,
Mr. Chairman, I would move to remand these to the planning board for public hearing, but, you know, I didn't get a chance to cross-reference these with the zoning bylaws, and I'm not real sure where the 3.8.5 fence height fits in, but I don't know if it's a special section, but it says fences shall not exceed 8 feet in height. So I didn't know if this was increasing the general fencing, and Kevin Rudden is telling me no, so.
I actually believe it's
he's
a new
obviously got some
section.
insight on this.
I think it's a new section,
So,
'cause we don't have it, I think, under his rationale.
He's
yeah.
got some insight. So this isn't the residential, is this for contractors' yards or some sort of section?
According to Larry, he just puts it all in one sentence, all the different fence sites in one sentence.
okay.
Well, if I could just get a little
Sure.
bit more information on
Yep.
that. 8-foot fences get a little scary,
Yeah.
you know, so if I could just get a little bit of information on that. I just didn't have a chance to go back to the zoning bylaws to see where that fit in.
Okay, so the idea is that we'll get you additional information, but for now, remand to the planning board for hearing.
I would make that motion, yes.
Okay.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor, that's unanimous. Next, the town administrator, I'll let you, this is the grant for easement for Woodland School for overhead activity.
Yeah, this is relation to the new Woodland School.
Yep.
Mass Electric Company requires or needs a grant of easement so that they can obviously service the system. This has been prepared by Mass Electric. It has been reviewed by town council. He added some, just some additional language. It is now in agreement with both sides, and this would require the selectmen to sign, and then would be recorded.
Okay, pretty standard stuff, appreciate the council looking at it. You have something for us to sign if the board approves? Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Seconded.
I'll vote in favor, that's unanimous. We'll get Rick a signed copy this evening. Do the board members have anything under new business they'd like to bring up tonight? Ryan?
No, I do not.
I don't either. Thank you.
Okay. Put it over there. Okay. Next, we have correspondence. We have a letter of resignation from Shelley Leclerc, who who indicates she's interested in the clerk's position and obviously wouldn't able, without prefacing or biasing the process, wants to interview for the opening and doesn't want to do that as a member of the, alternate member of the Personnel Board, or member of the Personnel Board. So is there a,
I'll move to accept it with regret.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Next, we have last drink data, which is periodically provided by the Attorney General's office to all of the communities, and it indicates where drivers volunteer, where their last drink came from. That doesn't necessarily mean that these establishments served all the alcohol that caused the problem, but nor does it actually indicate any truthfulness on the part of the person giving the information. But it is last drink information gathered. And we generally send out a letter to the individuals indicating that this is the data we received from the Attorney General's office. You good with that, Brian?
Yes, yes.
And there's a note here from John Pillar, the Veterans Agent, in regard to something Rick had just brought up about the Korean Vietnam Veterans Monument located at on the grounds of the Milford Courthouse. Been somewhat obscure and left to be overgrown, and the Veterans Agent, along with Mark Tosti, Facilities Manager of the courthouse, has agreed to do some work on it, and they've already begun. I want to thank Ackerman Monument for re-engraving the names, and the John is indicating that he'd like to have a small get-together, and just looking for our thoughts on it. I'm sure that the board members are in agreement that's a good idea, not to let the,
Rick just shared that with us.
Kind of, I forgot, I should have mixed copy, but that's.
not to let the veterans' names fade, and
Yeah, I was actually in the Milford Court today, and I stopped by and looked at it. Mark Tosti did a nice job in restoring this thing. The original globe was missing, and that's been put back on there. This was put together by Tony Brenner and his Highlanders group back in the early 80s. And I would think that we would want to contact Virginia. I'm sure she has some good information. Some of the names of folks that were involved at that time are on there right now. You know, Billy Crivello, he's passed, but his wife Marie is still with us. So there is still a core group of folks that were involved with that. But I remember Tony Brenner organized that back in the early 80s, I think around 1981, 82, whatever it was. And, you know, it's a nice little
yeah.
quiet spot in an area that you can see as you go by 140. And, you know, we really should commend Mark Tosti for taking on himself and bringing it back to, you know, what it was intended to be. I think we should probably reach out to Virginia Brenner and see if, you know, she would like to be part of some sort of program with, you know, some of the people who were involved with it originally.
Good idea. Yeah, it'd be nice to have some of the original members or their family members present when we have a little get-together there. Again, as John indicated, it's not a rededication, but really a revitalization and cleanup. Okay. Anybody else have any correspondence or anything they would like to bring up?
No, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Correspondence, Mr. Chairman, and we mentioned a little bit at the beginning of the meeting, you and I, the mass housing letter that came in
Yes.
on the Rob Sham Village. And, you know, it didn't surprise me, of course, but, you know, I think it was better than we might have anticipated, you know, despite the 40B exposure. They've indicated that the development of the site will require compliance with all state and federal environmental laws, regulations, and standards applicable to the existing conditions and the proposed use. There was also, I thought, in here, talk about, well, the stormwater management plan has to be identified and addressed, and then also proposed improvements to the water and sewer infrastructure. So, I mean, in the world of 40Bs, this guidance is not as bad as it might otherwise be. So they're going to get, I suppose, the approval, but they are the developer is put on notice that these are some serious and legitimate town concerns that, need to be addressed in the zoning board appeals process, or I should say, hearing process.
Okay. You have any correspondence or anything? Okay. Thank you. Thank you both. Next, we have executive session. I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
I'll move.
Seconded.
I'll also vote in favor. That's unanimous. Next, we'll go take a roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye.
I also vote in favor. That is the end of this meeting. We will not be returning back into open session. The purpose of the executive session is to get an update from town council on the water company negotiations.